Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dude with a Fork. My name is Ken. On today's episode of Ken Cooks Stuff, we are making sausage gravy and biscuits. This is comfort food. I found out a lot of people have never had this before. It's super easy to make. It is comfort food, which means it's not really healthy, but it's something you only have every once in a while. Like I said, not a lot of ingredients, easy to start cooking, easy to put together. So let's get going.
All right, so this is what we need to make our sausage gravy and biscuits. We need some biscuits, and you could make these from scratch. This dish is really not about the biscuits, though, so I'm kind of busy lately, so I'm punting, and I'm just using some canned biscuits from Walmart that I bought. I forget how much these cost. These are the buttermilk. They're supposed to be like grands. I think they were like $1. They weren't very expensive. You also need a pound of breakfast sausage, and that beep tells me that the oven is ready for these guys. A pound of breakfast sausage. I'm using the mild. This is Tennessee Pride. I think I've had this before. You can use the hot one if you like. It's all up to you. You can, if you're doubling the recipe, you can use one of each, which is always good. You are going to need 1/3 of a cup of flour. Maybe not all of this, depending on how lean the sausage is. And you're going to need about 3 to 4 cups of milk, depending on how thick or thin you like your gravy. And this is completely optional. I like to add a little bit of extra black pepper. This is probably 1.5 teaspoons, 2 teaspoons. I don't know that we'll use all of this, but I like a nice peppery gravy. So that's it. Let's go over to the stove and start cooking. Okay, so I have a cast iron pan heating up over medium-low heat. You always want to be careful with cast iron. A lot of people think it's cast iron. Let's crank the heat way up and then everything sticks. What you're doing is burning off your seasoning. You can tell this is hot enough. I'm just going to grab some water. Okay, and you hear that sizzling, so when you flick some water on it, so you know it is plenty hot, even though it's on medium-low. So I'm just going to cut open this container of sausage here. And there's probably a way to do this without making it look horrible, but it is what it is. So there's a little bit left in the package there. There's absolutely no way to do this without getting sausage on your fingers, so I'm just going to break this up. And this sausage just came out of the refrigerator, so it is stone cold. So it's going to take a little bit here, but I'm just going to break this up and get it cooking. And of course, cooking sausage like this is a great way to maintain the seasoning in a cast iron pan. And cast iron pans really are good at maintaining the heat level because they are so heavy. And a lot of people like gas stoves because the heat is constant. But gas stoves, of course, are terrible for the environment. So electric stoves are a better way to go, but they're constantly cycling on and off. And so the best compromise here is to use something with a heavy bottom. And cast iron certainly fits the bill. And you can see here the bit where it touched. I mean, that's coming right off. So it's a pretty good option for cooking here. So I'm going to go ahead and break this up and just let it cook. And we'll be back in a little bit when this is all cooked. All right, so here's our sausage all cooked up. Actually, turn the stove off for a little bit while I was waiting for the biscuits to finish. So I've let it cook over medium-low until I'm sure it's cooked all the way through. I think these days it doesn't hurt to take precautions with prepackaged ground meat and make sure it's cooked all the way through. You just never really know. It's going to take a minute for the stove to come back up to temperature. I mean, if you have an actual butcher shop where he's taking full cuts of meat and grinding them up right there in the shop, that's one thing. You know a lot about the cleanliness of that shop and how well they take care of things. Whereas if you're getting, prepackaged meat that's been processed, who knows how,
you really want to make sure it's cooked all the way through, and that applies to ground pork, ground beef, anything. And you would be surprised, a lot of your bigger retailers, they sell the little rectangular packages. It looks like it was ground there, but it wasn't necessarily. If it's that vacuum seal packaging, probably was prepared somewhere else. So I'm just moving all this to the side so you can see there's not a lot of fat in here. That's okay. There's a lot of the fat is surrounding the meat. So we're going to go in with our 1/3 of a cup of flour now. And I'm just going to sprinkle this over everything. I did taste a little piece of this meat. It looks like there's a lot of pepper in there, but that's probably enough pepper for other people. It's not enough for me. For some reason I've wandered off the burner, but that's all right. So we're going to cook up this flour, and the whole point here is we're basically making a roux, only we're using pork fat instead of butter. But we do want to make sure that this raw flour is cooked down. Raw flour, for one thing, it's not going to thicken your gravy at all. It's just going to make little lumps, and this helps disperse the flour throughout the fat. And raw flour just doesn't taste good. You shouldn't be eating it. In fact, I noticed I bought a bag of flour at Aldi, and there's actually a warning on the flap that said, "Do not eat raw flour." I don't even know how you eat raw flour, but yeah, don't eat raw flour. So, how can you tell when this flour is cooked all the way through? You really can't. It's just a timing issue. So if it looks like you can see still kind of dry flour in there, it hasn't incorporated with the fat yet. So make sure that you don't see any of that. And then other than that, just kind of let it just sit here and do its thing, and keep stirring it a little bit so it doesn't stick. If you miss a spot here or there, it's going to cook when we let the gravy cook. But yeah, it just takes a couple of minutes. It doesn't take forever. So I'm just trying to make sure this stuff around the edge is good. So let me move this back just a little bit. You would think with a heavy cast iron pan I wouldn't be shoving it around on the burner, but apparently I do. So, okay. So we're going to go in. We're going to need 3 to 4 cups of milk. Like I said, this looks good. This looks real good. So I have some on the back of the... I don't know how that happens. Anyway, I've got a 2-cup measure here. So I'm going to go in all at once with 2 cups here. And then I'm going to need another cup and a half. So we're just going to bring this back up to a simmer and let that thicken up. Inevitably, when it comes to a dish like this, somebody's going to say, "Oh, wow, it looks delicious," but there's carbs in the biscuit, and there's fat and cholesterol in the pork. Is there a way to make this healthy? And the answer is no. This is comfort food. It's not meant to be healthy. You don't eat this all the time. You eat it when you need comforting. And I get that you want to eat it all the time because it's delicious, but you let this be the rare treat that you reward yourself with for eating all of the healthy things all the rest of the time. And you just let this dish be what it is. So, like I said, it's comfort food. When you need comforting, when you're craving it and you're missing it, you haven't had it in a long time, that's when you make it. It's probably been, at least a year since I've had sausage, gravy, and biscuits. So I can eat this every once in a while and not feel guilty about it. So, and this, because this is a cast iron pan, you can see the steam coming off it. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but there is steam coming off it, so it's not going to cool off super quickly by adding all of that cold milk. So I'm going to get another cup of milk ready here. And really how much milk you add is up to you. 3 to 4 cups is typical. If company comes over, you add a little bit more milk. That's the great thing about soups and gravies. You can just add a little bit more liquid and stretch it. But this is really sausage heavy right now. but that's all right. I want to make sure that this gets thickened up first and I don't cool the pan off too much. I'm also going to go in with that black pepper because not enough pepper for me. There's never enough pepper for me. I love black pepper. Okay. And that's coming together rather nicely. You can see it's starting to get thick. And of course, just letting it slowly simmer will evaporate some of the water out of it, and that will help it get thick too. Right, this is a dish that almost makes itself. So I'm going to go in with another cup of milk, which is our third cup. And I think I'm going to call it good at that point. At some point I'll need to find a place for this in the refrigerator. Alright, so we're just going to let this sit here and simmer for a little bit until it gets thick. And it's not very fun watching stuff sit in a pan, so we'll be back. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes and you can see our milk gravy has gotten nice and thick. And of course, some people are going to say, well, if you wanted a nice thick gravy, you could have just added more flour. But you really do need to cook the milk. That's kind of the point of this. You need to cook the sausage, and then you need to cook the flour, and then you need to cook the milk. If you take a taste of this and it tastes like raw milk, it's obviously not cooked enough. You need to make sure that you turn the milk into an actual gravy. And of course, I'm going to turn this off now because you don't ever want to boil milk too hard or you will break that. But you can also see that cast iron, it has a nice non-stick surface on it. So this pan will be a breeze to clean. And sometimes milk is really hard to clean out of ordinary pots and pans, but not in this case. This will be super easy to clean. The other thing I want to point out too is, and this is where it's kind of going to be a pain in the arm, I am using my 12-inch cast iron, which is really heavy. I have a 10-inch pan, but when I'm making something like this that I want to thicken up, I want to provide as much surface area as possible for liquid to evaporate. So that's why I went with the 12-inch, even though it is a lot heavier than the 10-inch. I would prefer to cook things in two 10-inch skillets rather than one 12-inch skillet, but a 12-inch and a 10-inch is what I have, and there are times when you actually need the 12-inch, and this is one of them. And this is absolutely gorgeous. I'm probably going to have to add a little bit more pepper. We'll find out. I've been tasting as we go. One of the things that happens when you let it simmer too is that the seasonings have a chance to get their flavor out of the meat and into the gravy as well. So again, you want to go low and slow and give all of these flavors time to come together. So I did get the biscuits out of the oven. I have a plate of them. I just split them in half and put some butter on them. And I know you're saying, okay, sausage, milk, biscuits, and now butter. Yeah, butter. This is not health food. This is comfort food. So I'm going to get some of these plated up and we will meet at the table and see how they taste. And there we have it, sausage, gravy, and biscuits. And why I put these on a clear glass plate, I don't know, because I know there's a lot of glare. Let's take a little taste, You can hear the crunch of the biscuits. They got nicely browned. Oh, That's so good. You know how to make it better? Okay. There you go. Now, like I said, somebody inevitably, looks like I missed a spot. Somebody inevitably is going to say, can you make this healthier? Yeah, you could probably figure out a way to make this out of lentils and quinoa, and it would be delicious. It wouldn't be comfort food, but I should try that sometime. I like lentils and I like quinoa, but there is one way that you could make this comfort food and make it healthier, and that's probably by making the sausage yourself. So I may do that in a future video, but for right now, I'm just going to tuck in. Oh. What I will do later today is get like a 3-hour long movie
and put it in the DVD player and then just ride the exercise bike the entire time. This is totally worth it. If anybody ever told you that the world is going to roll you because you ain't the sharpest tool in the shed, be a rock star. Make some sausage gravy and biscuits. You won't regret it. These are amazing. So I'm just going to tuck in and finish the rest of these. It'll take me all of 3 minutes. So see you next time. Cheers.
And that's it, folks. I'd like to thank you for watching. Just a quick note, I do like a thicker gravy. If that gravy seemed awfully thick to you, you'll probably want to go ahead and add that 4th cup of milk. I just like a really thick gravy. So sometimes I make it thinner, sometimes I don't. It depends on if I'm eating alone or if I have other people with me. Today I was eating alone, so I got to have it the way I like it. So again, thanks for watching. I do have a new computer set up, and it seems to be working out really, really well. So I've got a bunch of videos in the can that have been almost impossible to edit. So hopefully you'll be seeing more of those coming out soon. In the meantime, stay safe, enjoy good food, and power to the proletariat. See you next time.